People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, big up to you lot for tuning in. It means the world, and I keep saying it, and I have to say it again to my long-term supporters. Big up yourselves. We've been getting some motion in the last week or so, and the views for me, anyways, have been going crazy. So don't think your support goes, I don't even know the word, but just don't think I don't see it in it. I appreciate all of it. If you're new here, you know you need to hit the subscription button and you need to subscribe. And everybody hit the like button. Most importantly, I hope you're doing well and safe. Get the creative juices flowing, and obviously, since my last transfer news video, again, 99.9% of these rumors are BS, but it's entertainment for us. Allegedly, Arsenal have revealed their stance on Toney. Apparently, there's talk of Gyokeres potentially, people. And apparently, Mikel Arteta has contacted Merino, his fellow Spaniard, and actually, ironically, plays for Sociedad, the area in Spain that Mikel Arteta is from. I personally it would be a dream for me to have midfield addressed. I think Merino would be a great signing for us. Great is probably over exaggerating, but I think he's consistent. I think he's confident in his abilities, and I think he's competent, and he's obviously got a fair level of experience. All the talk is going to be about Calafiori and defensive additions, and probably the knock-on effect that might mean for Kivior or Zinchenko or none. We don't know. Obviously, a lot of us would like a winger and a striker. We're still consistently linked with Nico Williams. We all know we're not going to sign him. I hope I'm wrong. The striker stuff started with Sesko. It went dead, and as I said earlier, Gyokeres and Toney rumors seem to be resurfacing. But for me, if midfield is not addressed, specifically a partner for Declan Rice, and to complete that trio with him, obviously Declan Rice, Odegaard, and the new guy, as well as having Jorginho and potentially Partey, because he's still linked with Saudi Arabia in the ranks for next season, I'd be very disappointed, man. I think we need to address midfield. Obviously, games are won and lost in the attacking and defensive third. We've got a great defense. We've got great building blocks. We've got a clean sheet, clean sheet record. We're doing great things there. We're not bad in the attacking sense. We've got 91 Premier League goals, over 100 in all comps. Yes, another striker wouldn't go amiss, but it's the midfield battle. It's where, the games are won and lost in midfield week in, week out. If we don't address that, for me, I'm not really optimistic beyond the obvious of winning a Premier League title or anything of that ilk next season or this season upcoming, because it's only just over a month away. Let me know your thoughts throughout. Let me know your thoughts on, my waffling at the beginning, and maybe I've tricked your mind into thinking about stuff. Do you agree or disagree with my thoughts in central midfield? Now, if I share my screen with you lot, thank you for sharing the screen. I thought it was going to flop there. Arsenal and Chelsea are among the clubs that retain an interest in Victor Gyokeres. Sources with knowledge of the situation have told TBR that the belief is Sport in Lisbon would now consider a deal close to 60 million for the player. Now, where you look at, even to a degree, even though he's got a year left on his deal, Toney, obviously the man on screen at the moment, Gyokeres, Victor Osimhen signed a new deal, and Napoli being notoriously difficult negotiators. We've got to remember that, the Euros and the Copa America have thrown a spanner in the works, but we're very early in terms of the transfer market. So naturally, the stances are going to change, people. Potentially, if additions for these clubs that are, their players are linked with moves away or replacements. Obviously, we all know it's a game of poker, essentially. I would love a striker. I don't think Gyokeres is a bad player. I think you could do a lot worse than signing him for 60 million. Obviously, that's probably the cheapest you've seen based on media reports. He's been linked with people. Now, some reports have said Arsenal are going for a striker. In fact, in the last month or so, or 2 months in the off-season, some reports have said Arsenal want to sign a striker. Some have said Arsenal would like a striker, but they're not bothered. Some have actually said they retain faith in Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and shift might begin to focus on a winger or a versatile attacker, people. I wouldn't mind Gyokeres at all, people. I think we need another striker, and I think there's been a couple of moments, you look at the December period last season, in which we need such people. So yeah, that's where Gyokeres is concerned. Again, this is behind the paywall, but allegedly Arsenal have inquired about Mikel Merino's availability and how much he would cost if he were to leave Real Sociedad this summer. However, it's unlikely there'll be any movement until after the Euro 2024, in which we hope he loses, because England are in the final. Naturally, I'm sure there's talk with his advisors in the backgrounds. I'm sure Edu and Mikel Arteta are having conversations and things of that ilk. How much would he be available for? Because, I wouldn't say respectfully to him, he hasn't been the biggest of stars in the Spanish squad. Fabian Ruiz has done well. Yalmal is probably the player of the tournament, let alone the young player of the tournament. Again, Dani Olmo has risen to the fourth, particularly after Pedro Neto's injury. If I haven't said it, but Nico Williams. And then you would probably look at, I believe, funny enough, I think Cucurella of Chelsea's done quite well in the Euros. And then you've got Merino. Now, obviously, he's played in Spain, played in Germany, previously played at Newcastle. You know, nothing to scream and shout about. And I'm not saying that to downplay him. He's just competent. You know, he raises the floor of our side, and he probably would be a starting centre midfielder. You know, again, if we were really and truly scouting Zubimendi, then we have to know what he's about. And I've done a tactical video on him, so I don't want to get into everything, but check that out. But I wouldn't be against that if I'm completely honest with you. So we'll have to watch this space. There has been some social media reports that we've actually contacted him, bearing in mind he's got a year left on his deal. This has said Arsenal have initiated talks with Mikel Moreno's reps as they eye a 25 million euro deal for the Real Sociedad midfielder. We've been told Moreno is open to joining the Gunners, while he has already informed Real Sociedad of his desire to leave this summer. So if he's got a year left, as it says there, his contract expires in 2025. Allegedly, he signals his intent to leave, or his intentions to leave, then that's obviously a boost to Arsenal. Whether we can get that over the line or get a deal done, or whether the media is overestimating Arsenal's admiration for him, is a completely different thing, people. Apparently his name first came into conversation during Arsenal's talks to sign Zubimendi, who, to be fair, there's been nothing to really scream and shout about with the other talented midfielder where Spain's concerned. He ain't really played like that. So we'll have to see. Again, apparently some reports say that Arteta has spoken to him either in a face-to-face capacity or on the phone. But this says here, in-person discussions with Moreno are yet to take place due to obviously his participation at Euro 2024. And Arsenal are seriously considering the possibility of signing the Spanish international. So I'll have to see. You'd imagine, you know, if his asking price is 25 million euro, that's about 20 odd million quid. You know, I think you're getting a lot of experience in a 28-year-old. It's not that Arsenal can't pay that, but if he's got a year left, he signaled his intention to leave. You know, there might be other clubs interested in him, but are you going to pay the asking price, or are you going to look to haggle that a bit down? I reckon Arsenal would really look to find a compromise. And obviously, if he signaled allegedly no intention to sign a new deal and he's leaving and he's got a year left, who knows? I mean, will Arsenal necessarily sell players before bringing them in, or will they bring in and then look to sell? But I guess indirectly, someone like Thomas Partey, who's forever linked with Saudi Arabia's future, probably indirectly has something to play here, people. So yeah, that's where Merino and Gyokeres are concerned. Now, Dan Bentley of Wolves, all week we've been linked with him and potentially him returning to the Emirates. Spent time at Arsenal as a youth man before obviously going to Southend, then going to Brentford and Bristol and all of these things. Arsenal are preparing to submit an increased bid to sign Dan Bentley from Wolves. Sources have told Football Insider the Arsenal goalkeeping coach Inaki Kanya is keen for the club to try to sign Bentley due to their pre-existing relationship. I did cover this in a previous vid. It is looking like we'll sign 3 goalies. Obviously, him being homegrown helps as well, and he would probably be third choice really and truly in that regards. Keeping up the theme with British goalies or English goalies, Arsenal have made an offer worth 400,000 plus bonuses for Ajax's 18-year-old goalkeeper Tommy Setford. Both clubs will continue negotiations in the coming days. Ironically, him and his brother are both goalkeepers, and he obviously knows someone like Ethan from his time in England's youth ranks. He's a current England under-20 international, people, and you'd imagine he plays for our academy. You know, you never know, he could have the potential to become Arsenal number one day, but you'd imagine Raya isn't the oldest, Ramsdale hasn't left yet, and assuming he was to get a new lease of life at the Emirates, that's a spanner in the works. I think he's someone that comes in potentially with an eye of, you know, maybe one day being involved in the first team in some capacity. You never know. But he's someone that probably comes in, maybe spends the first 6 months to a year playing for Arsenal's under 21s before we look to engineer a loan spell. And then who knows, he could progress and become number 3, number 2 or number 1 goalkeeper, but could be sold for a significant profit on the 400 odd grand that we've alleged bidded and hoping to get a deal done. Keeping up the themes with goalies, you know, the Athletic/Gunner blog have said if all goes to plan, Arsenal will complete the signing of 3 first-team goalkeepers in this transfer window. Beyond that, they're hoping to make multiple additions at academy level, hopefully, man, if I'm honest with you. And that would technically be 4 goalies, because we've actually signed a Danish lad for our academy. Ironically, it looks like we're getting people out the door. Nuno Tavares to Lazio. Here we go, says Romano. Verbal agreement on a 5-year deal just reached. Deal until June 2029. Nuno will travel this weekend for a medical if all goes to plan with formal documents. Arsenal received 9 million loan with mandatory buy clause plus sell-on clause. Great stuff. Good riddance. Forgive me, Tavares. As we know, Lokonga has actually been pictured in Spain. He's set for his medical at Sevilla today, people. He'll sign for Sevilla on loan with a 12 12 million euro buy option. Arsenal will also have a 25% sell-on clause in case they make the deal permanent, people. So for our sake, we hope that he plays very well and looks like the Yaya Toure he was once coined by Vincent Kompany, or, you know, he's got a year left on his deal with an option of another one. Boy, we're at where we're concerned there. Arsenal apparently have been linked with Ivan Toney once again. Apparently he isn't valued that highly by Arsenal, claiming that while Brentford see him as a £60 million player, the Gunners believe he's worth 45 million. I mean, he wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't be against him if I'm completely honest with you. Dean Jones has said a big issue with signing Toney is that Brentford wants 60 million. Anyone I've spoken to from the clubs, including Man United, Chelsea and Arsenal, Man United who have just signed Zertsky, by the way, when they were interested, see Toney as a 40 to 45 million quid player. I mean, he's playing in the Euros. He is one of the best strikers in the Prem. Naturally, Brentford are going to overvalue him slightly. Probably hoping that he signs a new deal. Although if we look at the last 6 months to a year, anyone that would listen to Ivan Toney, he kept making it clear that he wants to play for a bigger club, with the greatest of respect to the 28-year-old. Wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't be against it. Obviously, people, you lot know I love Doué of Rennes. It seems like Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich are fighting for him. PSG alleged ready in a bid. Bayern Munich apparently have made an initial offer and had it turned down. So Bayern Munich having quite the transfer window, aren't they, really? Apparently, you know, one time Arsenal target is now a Manchester United one, in that Ferdy Kadagoglu's reps are being sought after for a meeting with Man United, with an eye to probably bringing him to the carpet, carpet, old toilet. Man United actually signing some decent players. You know, Zertsky's all right. Ferdy's all right. They've made a number of backroom additions. Unfortunately, I think Man United are going to get things going. Obviously, Ferdy can play left back as well as right back, so you couldn't rule out Arsenal signing him. But you'd imagine on top of the existing options, you know, especially Tomiyasu and Timber, who can play either side, and Calafori's expected arrival, probably puts that one there to bed, people, depending on how you look at it. Once again, we're preparing for life without Aaron Ramsdale. We're preparing to submit an increased bid for Dan Bentley. So I have to see how that's going. And I'm sure when it comes to Calafiori, you just want to see the man signed. Arsenal are expecting to complete a deal to sign Bologna defender Calafiori in the coming weeks. It went from next week being this week, to in the coming week. So I know fans will be quite frustrated, but we need to have patience, really and truly, if I'm completely honest. So with that being said, that seems to be everything at this moment in time that concerns our football club. If there's any other rumors and talking points or any official confirmations, you know, live streams and videos on my channel, you know, will follow. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed here, people. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment. Most importantly, thank you for your support, listening to the vid. Stay blessed, stay safe. Peace.